The wail of military police sirens cut through the Friday night air at the officers' club. 4 MPs burst through the entrance, handcuffs drawn, flashlights sweeping until they locked onto a single figure. Rachel Porter, you're under arrest for impersonating a military officer and stolen valor under federal law. Captain Jake Morrison's voice boomed across the packed room. His face flushed from alcohol and fury. He pointed at the woman in civilian clothes who stood with unsettling calm. This fraud walked in here wearing dog tags, claiming she served with SEALs. She's a fake. 40 officers turned in unison, phones lifted, recording lights blinked to life. The Friday crowd pressed forward to witness the spectacle. Rachel Porter didn't struggle as MP Commander Captain Linda Vasquez approached. She simply stood there, brown eyes steady, radiating a stillness that seemed inappropriate given the circumstances. Jeans and a plain gray t-shirt marked her as civilian except for a thin silver chain around her neck from which hung a small metallic object that caught the overhead lights. You have the right to remain silent. I request to contact higher authority, Rachel said, her voice measured and cold as winter steel. Naval Special Warfare Command. Major General Stephen Hayes? Morrison burst into laughter. You think a general cares about some wannabe like you, lady? But on the challenge coin dangling from Rachel's necklace, a series of numbers glinted beneath the bar lights. GU 7-041201. In the next 90 minutes, everyone in that room would understand they had just committed the gravest error of their careers. The Officers Club at Naval Base Coronado occupied a converted hangar. Long windows offered views of the Pacific darkening under twilight. Round tables filled the main floor, occupied by personnel unwinding after a demanding week. In the adjacent function room, a memorial service had just concluded. Over 100 attendees filtered back into the main area, expressions somber. They had gathered to honor Petty Officer Marcus Webb, a SEAL who had survived 3 combat deployments only to lose his battle with PTSD last month. Rachel had been sitting alone at a corner table. When Morrison's group noticed her, she'd kept to herself, nursing a single glass of water. Master Chief Tom Sullivan, a SEAL instructor with 22 years of service, had noticed something different from his position at the bar. Her posture maintained alignment that spoke of ingrained discipline. When someone passed behind her, she tracked their movement with peripheral awareness beyond normal caution. Sullivan had been about to approach when Morrison's group made their move. 3 SEAL operators, fresh from training and riding high on accomplishment and beer. Captain Jake Morrison led them, his SEAL trident pin prominent. Lieutenant Brad Cortez flanked him, phone already in hand. Petty Officer Dylan Ross completed the triangle. Excuse me, ma'am, Morrison said, his tone carrying false politeness. Couldn't help but notice your dog tags. What unit did you serve with? Rachel looked up with eyes that revealed nothing. I attended a memorial service. I'm not looking for conversation. That's not what I asked. Those tags military issue or did you buy them at a surplus store? They're mine. So you're claiming military service? Cortez chimed in, phone now raised and recording. I'm not claiming anything. I attended a service for a fallen operator. That's all you need to know. Ross leaned in. Funny, you don't look like any operator I've ever seen. What was your rate? Your command? That information isn't public, Rachel said quietly. Morrison laughed. Let me guess. Your service is classified. Super secret squirrel stuff we're not cleared to know about. The surrounding tables started paying attention. Conversations died. The energy shifted from relaxed to predatory. You know what I think? I think you're one of those stolen valor cases. Someone who bought some gear online and wants to pretend they earned it. Rachel's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. I haven't misrepresented myself to anyone. Then prove it, Ross said. Give us your details. We'll verify them right now. I'm not authorized to provide operational details without proper clearance verification. Cortez whooped. Operational details. She's actually committing to the story. He panned his camera across the crowd. Everyone hearing this? Stolen valor in progress at Coronado Officers Club. Morrison grabbed Rachel's shoulder, spinning her to face him. The movement was aggressive, deliberately invasive. You think you can disrespect real operators? For just an instant, something flickered behind Rachel's eyes. A calculation. Sullivan saw it from across the room and instinctively pushed away from the bar, recognizing a response pattern he'd witnessed in actual combat veterans. But Rachel didn't move. She simply looked at Morrison with an expression so empty of fear that it was somehow more unsettling than aggression. You should take your hand off me. Morrison squeezed harder. Or what? His words cut off as the dog tag chain snapped under pressure. The tags scattered across the floor. The challenge coin followed, bouncing once before settling near Morrison's boot. Rachel's hand moved to catch the falling objects with reflexes that blurred, but the coin was already down. Morrison bent to pick it up. Well, let's see what kind of souvenir you bought yourself. He held it up, squinting. GU 7-041201. What's this supposed to be? Some serial number you made up. Give that back. I don't think so. This is evidence. Morrison pocketed the coin. Now we're calling the MP's bartender Joey Martinez spoke up. Hey Morrison, maybe ease up. Let her explain before you escalate this. Explain what? How she bought fake gear. Morrison pulled out his phone. I'm calling this in. As he made the call, Cortez continued filming. This is what stolen valor looks like. People, right here at Coronado. Can you believe it? Rachel stood there, her posture shifting into modified parade rest, the stance of someone who'd worn a uniform for years. Sullivan pushed through the gathering crowd. Gentlemen, maybe we should all take a breath. Let's wait for the MPs. This doesn't concern you, Master Chief, Morrison said. We caught her red-handed. What exactly did you catch her doing? Wearing military identification she didn't earn. Did she tell you she was a SEAL? Sullivan asked calmly. Morrison hesitated. She implied it. Implied is different from claimed. The door crashed open. Captain Linda Vasquez strode in with 4 MPs. Someone want to tell me why I'm here on a Friday night? Morrison stepped forward. Captain, we've got a stolen valor situation. This woman has been representing herself as military, specifically claiming SEAL service. Vasquez approached Rachel. Ma'am, I need identification. Rachel extracted her wallet and handed over her driver's license. No military ID appeared. Rachel Porter, civilian address in San Diego? No military designation, yet you're wearing dog tags. I attended a memorial service for a fallen operator. I made no claims about my status. She absolutely did. Morrison cut in. Ms. Porter, simple question. Did you represent yourself as a currently serving or former military officer this evening? I attended a memorial service. Period. That's not an answer. Rachel met Vasquez's eyes. I need to contact Naval Special Warfare Command. Major General Stephen Hayes. This requires higher authority involvement. You don't make demands. You're under investigation for federal violations. Morrison pulled out the challenge coin. She was carrying this, Captain. Claimed it was issued to her. Look at these weird markings. Probably ordered it custom. Vasquez took the coin, frowning at the numbers. Lieutenant Colonel James Wu pushed through the crowd. Captain Vasquez, may I examine that coin? He studied the markings carefully. Ms. Porter, where did you acquire this? It was issued to me in May 2011 for completion of a classified operation. Morrison exploded. She's making it up as she goes. But Wu wasn't looking at Morrison. He was looking at Rachel with decades of assessment. Ma'am, you're claiming this coin represents completion of a classified operation? I'm stating a fact, sir. Then you understand why I'm going to verify that claim before anyone makes arrests. Wu pulled out his phone. Sergeant First Class Mike Torres arrived. Morrison, what exactly did she say? She talked about SEAL training. New details. What details? Torres pressed. Which are publicly available online. She implied she was one of us. Implied is not the same as claimed. Torres said firmly. Did she introduce herself as an active SEAL? Silence. She wore dog tags, Ross insisted. Which could be from a family member. Torres countered. Which could be legitimately hers. Vasquez raised her voice. Gentlemen, enough. Ms. Porter, final opportunity. Do you have documentation of military service? My service record is classified under executive order. I cannot produce documentation without authorization from Naval Special Warfare Command. Cortez burst into laughter. She's committed now. Captain, this is textbook fake veteran behavior. Vasquez's expression hardened. Ms. Porter, people with genuinely classified backgrounds don't announce it in public bars. I made no announcements. I attended a private memorial service. These gentlemen approached me and escalated the situation. The appropriate authority is me, Vasquez snapped. And my authority says, you're under arrest. She nodded to her MPs. Cuff her. As the MPs moved forward, Rachel turned, placing her hands behind her back with practiced ease. The MPs hesitated. Her positioning was too perfect. Too automatic. Rachel Porter, you're under arrest for violation of Federal Code, 18 U.S.C. Section 912, impersonating a military officer. I understand my rights. I repeat my request to contact Major General Stephen Hayes. This arrest is a mistake. Morrison laughed harshly. She's still named. This is beautiful. The MPs led Rachel toward the door. The crowd parted. Phones held high. As Rachel passed the bar. Joey Martinez caught her eye, looking troubled. Mrs. Eleanor Grant, a Gold Star mother from the memorial service, spoke up. Young lady, thank you for attending Marcus's service. It meant a great deal. Rachel's step faltered. He was a good operator. Ma'am, I'm sorry for your loss. Morrison grabbed Rachel's arm roughly. Enough with the act. They took her out into the night, still handcuffed, still silent. None of them noticed Sullivan making a quiet phone call. None saw Torres texting. We have a situation at Oak Clubney Higher Authority ASAP. And none understood that the challenge coin in Morrison's pocket was about to transform from evidence of fraud into proof of their own catastrophic error. MP office was utilitarian metal desk, uncomfortable chairs, fluorescent lighting. Commander Richard Stokes entered 10 minutes after Rachel was seated. At 45, he carried the precise confidence of a lawyer built on military regulations. Ms. Porter, I'm Commander Stokes, JAG course. If you cooperate fully, things will go easier. Rachel said nothing. Full name, Rachel N. Porter. Date of birth, November 15, 1989. Current occupation, emergency medical technician with San Diego County. And you claim prior military service. I served in the United States Navy. Honorably discharged October 2013, Morrison, leaning against the wall, couldn't contain himself. Here we go. Stokes shot him a warning glance. Miss Porter, what was your rate in the Navy? Rachel paused exactly 3 seconds. I'm not authorized to disclose my specific rate or unit designation without proper clearance verification from Naval Special Warfare Command. There it is, Morrison exclaimed. Classic deflection, sir. Stokes held up a hand. Miss Porter, I have a secret clearance. If your service was genuinely classified at that level, you can disclose it to me. My service requires higher than secret clearance. Commander, the room fell silent. That would be top secret SCI. Torres spoke up quietly. Stokes tapped his pen. Fine. Tell me about Bud S training. I haven't claimed anything about Bud S, but you know what it is. Basic underwater demolition, SEAL training conducted at Naval Special Warfare Center Coronado, common knowledge. What week of Bud S is Hell Week? Week 4 of first phase. What's the grinder used for? Physical training, evolutions, surf torture, log PT, conditioning drills, asphalt surfaced approximately 150 by 200 feet. Stokes's eyebrows rose. That specificity wasn't typical tourist knowledge. What happens during surf torture? Rachel hesitated. Students form boat crews in the surf zone. They're required to link arms and remain in cold water for extended periods. Tests, psychological endurance, and teamwork. How long? That varies by instructor decision and student performance. Water temperature? Typically between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on season. Morrison looked less confident now. She could have read all this in memoirs. Could have, Torres agreed, but she's not wrong about any of it, and her answers aren't rehearsed. Stokes moved to more technical material. Ms. Porter, what weapons platforms are standard for SEAL assault elements? This was the line. Answer truthfully and reveal knowledge that shouldn't be public. Refuse and confirm suspicions of fraud. She made her choice. Standard loadout for DevGru assault elements typically includes modified HK416 with 10.4-inch barrel, suppressor, EOTech EXPS-3 optic, visible and infrared laser aiming devices. Stop. Stokes's voice was sharp. The pen dropped from his hand. Where did you get that information? Rachel fell silent. That's not public information, Stokes said quietly, deeply troubled. That's operational details. How do you know those specifications? I was asked a direct question by legal authority. I'm required to answer honestly. That doesn't explain how you know. Classified weapons, configurations? As if I had access to them through legitimate service. The room erupted. Finally Stokes raised his hand for quiet. Ms. Porter, I'm going to ask one direct question. Were you, or were you not, a member of the United States Naval Special Warfare Community? Rachel met his eyes. I was. In what capacity? That information requires top-secret C clearance and compartmented access that I cannot verify you possess. Stokes stood abruptly. This is absurd. You can't claim military service and then refuse to provide verifiable details. I've provided details. You're now aware I had access to classified weapon specifications. That access wasn't illegitimate. I knew those details because I used those weapon systems. Morrison's face had gone red. You're claiming you were an operator, a woman. In 2010, 2011, there were no female SEAL operators then. Officially, Rachel said quietly, there weren't. The word hung in the air like smoke. Vasquez stepped forward. Ms. Porter, let me see your hands. Rachel held out her hands. Vasquez grabbed her wrists, turning her palms up. Her thumbs ran over the calluses, thick ridges at the base of each finger, pronounced scarring between thumb and index finger of her right hand. Commander, Vasquez said slowly, these aren't normal calluses. This is weapon wear. Significant weapon wear. Torres moved closer. That's pistol grip pattern. Thousands of rounds. And this scarring, that's slide bite from improper grip on a 1911. She learned to shoot with something that bites back. Anyone can go to shooting ranges, Morrison insisted, but his voice had lost its edge. Not like this, Torres countered. This is duty weapon work, daily carry and fire for years. Stokes examined the hands. Ms. Porter, remove your jacket. I'd prefer not to. It wasn't a request. Rachel slowly pulled off her jacket, revealing short sleeves. Her forearms showed immediately a series of thin scars running up her left arm. Shrapnel? Torres breathed. That's a blast pattern. Eyed or explosive device fragment wounds. He pointed to her shoulder, and that's surgical scarring. Something required significant medical intervention. Vasquez studied the scars. These aren't fresh. Years old, healed cleanly. Good medical care. Military, medical care. Stokes returned to his chair. Ms. Porter, I'm going to run your name through the military database. If you served, you'll appear. He pulled out a laptop and began typing. After 5 minutes, he looked up. No record of Rachel Porter in the SEAL pipeline, Bud S graduates, or NSW community databases that I can access. Morrison's triumphant expression returned. There it is. She's a fraud. She's not in the databases you can access, Torres corrected. That's different from not being in any database. What databases can't a JAG commander access? Morrison challenged. Quite a few actually. Torres said. JSOC personnel, special mission units, compartmented programs. If she was part of something above your clearance, she wouldn't appear. Stokes closed the laptop. Ms. Porter, you've demonstrated knowledge you shouldn't have. Injuries consistent with combat service, physical evidence of weapons training, but you're not in any database I can verify. Provide me someone who can verify it. Major Hannibal Stephen Eyes, Commanding General Naval Special Warfare Command. Morrison laughed bitterly. She's claiming she reported to a 3-star admiral. Sir, this is ridiculous. A knock on the door? An MP stuck his head in. Commander, there's an NCIS agent here. Special Agent Dana Frost entered. At 36, she carried quiet authority. Her expression was professionally neutral as she surveyed the room. Then the challenge coin on Stokes's desk. She picked it up, turning it over slowly. Something in her posture shifted. Where did you get this? She asked Rachel. It was issued to me in May 2011. For what operation? Operation 041. Frost's fingers tightened almost imperceptibly. Commander, I need everyone except essential personnel out now. Morrison protested. I'm the one who identified the fraud. You have no rights in an NCIS investigation. Lieutenant out Vasquez, and Morrison left reluctantly. Only Stokes and Torres remained with Frost and Rachel. Frost pulled out her laptop, logging into a sophisticated system. She typed rapidly. The silence stretched for 10 minutes. Finally, she closed the laptop and looked at Stokes. Commander, how much do you know about Naval Special Warfare Group 7? There is no Group 7, Stokes said automatically. NSW is organized into Groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 10, correct? There is no Group 7 officially. Frost turned to Rachel. But there was a unit with that designation, wasn't there, Miss Porter? Rachel's expression remained neutral. I cannot confirm or deny the existence of classified units. No, you can't, Frost agreed. But I can, because I have the clearance. She looked at Stokes. Commander, Ms. Porter is telling the truth. Her service record is classified at levels above your access. The challenge coin is authentic, and you're about to make the situation significantly worse if you continue this arrest. Stokes stared at her. You're saying she was actually... I'm saying you need to release her immediately, in contact. Major General Hayes, before this becomes an incident that ends careers. Starting with yours? Morrison's shoulder check, as he passed Rachel on his way out, had been deliberate. The collision sent Rachel stumbling against the desk edge. Her shirt sleeve caught on protruding metal. The fabric tore with a soft ripping sound, exposing her shoulder. The tattoo was impossible to miss. A Navy SEAL trident rendered in sharp black lines, but not standard. Below the trident were letters, GU7. Surrounding those letters, 12 5-pointed stars arranged in a precise circle. 3 seconds of absolute silence. Chief Warrant Officer Alex Brennan, just arriving, saw it through the open door. Oh my God. Torres's eyes went wide. Is that Frost? Closed her laptop with a snap? Everyone stopped moving. Master Chief Sullivan, arriving from making phone calls, pushed past Martinez and saw the tattoo. His entire body went rigid. Then slowly, deliberately, he came to attention. Ma'am, he said, his voice thick with emotion. The door at the end of the hallway banged open. Footsteps, multiple sets, moving with purpose. Where is she? Major General Stephen Hayes entered in dress uniform. Every ribbon in perfect placement, his weathered face set in barely controlled fury. At 58, he moved with efficiency of someone half his age. Behind him came Commander Bill Hodges and Lieutenant Colonel Wu. The hallway erupted. Everyone who could stand came to attention. Hayes's eyes swept the Sintha torn shirt, the visible tattoo, the handcuffs, the challenge coin. His jaw tightened. Then he looked at Rachel. Really looked at her. His expression shifted through a dozen emotions in 2 seconds. Operator Porter, he said quietly. The room erupted into chaos. Morrison's face drained of all color. Vasquez's hands shook as she fumbled for her handcuff keys. Stokes simply sat down. No, Morrison whispered. That's not. She can't be. Hayes ignored them all. He walked directly to Rachel and came to attention and saluted her. Ma'am, it's an honor. Rachel, still handcuffed, couldn't return the salute, but she met his eyes with gratitude and relief. General, permission to speak freely. Granted. It's good to see you, sir. Hayes's composure cracked slightly. The honor is mine. Rachel, always has been. He turned to Vasquez. Get those handcuffs off her now. When the cuffs finally came off, Rachel rubbed her wrists absently. Hayes turned to address the room. For those present with appropriate clearance, I'm about to provide information that does not leave this room. He looked pointedly at Morrison. Any disclosure will be prosecuted. He picked up the challenge coin. This coin was issued to 12 individuals who participated in the most classified naval special warfare operations conducted between 2009 and 2013. These individuals operated under a unit designation that officially does not exist. They conducted missions in denied territories where U.S. military presence could not be acknowledged, and they did so with a success rate and casualty ratio that remains unmatched. Hayes's voice softened. Petty Officer First Class Rachel Porter served in that unit from 2009 to 2013. She was an explosive breacher and combat medic. She participated in 17 classified operations across 4 theaters. He paused. Including Operation Neptune Spear. May 2, 2011. Someone gasped. Bin Laden raid. She was at the Bin Laden raid. Morrison's voice came out broken. But there were no women on that mission. Hayes' eyes were steel. Officially, Lieutenant, there were no women. Operator Porter's presence remains classified under executive order. He set the coin down. These coins were issued to the 12 Ghost Unit. 7 operators who survived operations from 2009 to 2013. 4 operators did not survive. The 8 who did carry these coins is the only acknowledgement of service most will ever receive. He turned to Rachel. Operator Porter earned hers through actions most of the world will never know about. In places they'll never hear of, protecting people who will never know they were in danger. Brennan stepped forward, eyes wet. Ma'am, we heard you were medically retired. Injuries from Kandahar. Rachel nodded slowly. IED ambush during exfil August 2012. Shrapnel collapsed my left lung, severed my radial artery, fractured my shoulder blade in 3 places. Hayes continued. Operator Porter rendered aid to 3 teammates while under fire, despite her injuries. She kept 2 men alive until medevac arrived. She saved Petty Officer Marcus Webb that day. His voice roughened. Webb survived his physical wounds. His psychological ones took him last month. The memorial service. Someone breathed. That's why Rachel was here. Webb was her teammate, Hayes said, and she attended his service quietly, privately, because that's what operators like her do. He turned to face Morrison directly. Lieutenant Morrison, you just publicly accused, arrested, and assaulted a decorated combat veteran with higher security clearance than anyone in this building except me. You humiliated her in front of dozens of witnesses. You live-streamed accusations of fraud against a woman who has done more for this country in 4 years than most will do in entire careers. And you did all of this based on assumptions, prejudice, and arrogant certainty that you knew better. Morrison couldn't speak. Shaking, you have 5 seconds to apologize to Operator Porter before I convene a court-martial board and end your career in the most public and humiliating way possible. I'm sorry, Morrison choked out. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Didn't know? No, Rachel said quietly. You didn't. And you didn't try to find out. You made assumptions based on what you thought you knew about who could be an operator. And those assumptions were wrong. Hayes stepped back. Rachel faced Morrison, Cortez, and Ross. I don't need your apologies. But the next woman you encounter who claims military service she might, you owe it to every female operator, every female veteran, every woman who's earned her place through sacrifice and service to give them the respect you'd give any brother in arms. Not because they're women, because they're warriors. The silence was profound. Hayes spoke again. Captain Vasquez, you're relieved of MP command pending review. Lieutenant Morrison, Lieutenant Cortez, Petty Officer Ross, you're all suspended from active duty, effective immediately. Commander Stokes, you'll face administrative review. Commander Hodges, he looked at the base commander, we need to discuss new protocols. One by one, they acknowledged their fates. Hayes turned to Rachel. Operator Porter, on behalf of Naval Special Warfare Command, I apologize. This should never have happened. It wasn't your fault, sir. It was my community, my responsibility. He paused. I'd like to offer you a position SEAL Training Advisory Board, mentoring female candidates. Your choice of official or unofficial capacity. Rachel looked past him to where the night sky showed hints of dawn. I need time to think about it, General. Take all the time you need. As the room cleared, Sullivan approached. Ma'am, the others from Ghost Unit 7 RA4 didn't make it home, Rachel said quietly. 3 retired like me. 2 are still active. Different units. Mrs. Eleanor Grant stepped forward, face wet with tears. My son served under your protection in 2011. I never knew your name until tonight, but I knew someone kept him alive when everything went wrong. Thank you. Rachel embraced the elderly woman gently. He was a good operator. I'm sorry for your loss. And I'm sorry for yours. All of yours. Mrs. Grant searched Rachel's face. You carry so much weight. Please let people help you bear it. Torres spoke quietly. Ma'am, you saved lives most people will never know about. That's the hardest kind of service. It's the only kind worth doing, Rachel said simply. Hayes checked his watch. It's 0 Rachel. You're coming with me. We're getting you properly checked out medically, then somewhere you can rest. As Hayes led Rachel toward the exit, Morrison found his voice. Ma'am, why didn't you tell us? Why let us arrest you when you could have stopped it? Rachel paused. Could I? At what cost? Breaking federal law to save my ego? Revealing classified information to win an argument? She shook her head. I took an oath, Lieutenant. That oath didn't have an exception for personal convenience or public embarrassment. Some things are more important than being right. Service is one of them. And with that, she walked out into the early morning, heading toward whatever came next. 3 weeks later, the 60 Minutes interview aired. 20 million people watched Rachel Porter's story. Social media exploded with support. Even Morrison issued a public apology. The viral video of her arrest was now contextualized. Woman being handcuffed wasn't a fraud, but a legitimate veteran facing unjust accusations. Rachel became briefly a symbol. And then, as Hayes predicted, the media moved on. But the impact remained. 2 months after the incident, all 3 women in Maya Chen's Bud S class graduated first phase, the first time multiple women had made it through. 6 months later, Maya Chen earned her SEAL Trident. Rachel attended the ceremony, standing in the back, watching with quiet pride. Hayes stood beside her. You made this possible. No, Rachel corrected. They made it possible. I just showed them it could be done. Will you reconsider the advisory board position? Rachel smiled. I already accepted it. Started last week. Civilian consultant? Part-time? Strictly advisory? Hayes raised an eyebrow. You didn't tell me. You're not the only one who can keep secrets. General, as they watched the new SEALs celebrate, Rachel felt her phone vibrate. A text from an unknown number. Package has been delivered. 48 hours to respond. Ghost 7. She stared at the message, blood running cold. Ghost 7. The recall code. The one they'd agreed would only be used for genuine emergencies. Hayes noticed her expression. What's wrong? Rachel showed him the phone. His face hardened. When did this arrive? Just now. Do you know who sent it? Only 3 people have that code. One just used it. She looked at Hayes. My watch isn't done, is it? Rachel, you're retired. Medical discharge. You don't have to respond. 12 operators. General? That's what the message implies. 12 people in danger who need someone who doesn't officially exist. She met his eyes. When his need to know ever stopped mattering. Hayes was quiet for a long moment. If you do this, you're walking away from the peace you've built. I know. And if it goes wrong, there's no cavalry coming. Ghost Unit 7 officially doesn't exist. We can't acknowledge you, can't support you, can't extract you. I know that too. Then why would you even consider it? Rachel looked at the celebration. At Maya Chen and the other new operators. Because someone has to. Because 12 people are counting on someone who can do what others can't. Because that's what operators do. We answer when others can't. Hayes pulled out his phone. I'll have briefing materials delivered within 3 hours. But Rachel, you've given enough. Have I? Rachel asked quietly. Because David Rodriguez gave his life to save mine. Webb held on for 12 years before PTSD took him. 4 of our teammates never came home. If I can honor their sacrifice by saving 12 more operators, how is that even a choice? Rachel Porter made her decision, not because she wanted to return to the shadows, but because some debts can only be repaid in the same currency they were incurred. Sacrifice for sacrifice. Service for service. Life for life. 3 days later, Rachel Porter disappeared again. Her apartment stood empty. Her EMT supervisor received a resignation email. Only Hayes knew where she'd gone. Only he knew about the 12 operators trapped behind enemy lines in a location that couldn't be officially acknowledged. And only he knew that 3 weeks later, 13 people walked across a border into friendly territory. 12 exhausted operators and 1 woman, who'd proved once again that the deadliest warriors are often the ones nobody expects. When Hayes met her at the debrief location, Rachel looked older, harder, carrying new scars. But she was alive. 12 for 12, she reported. Complete success. 0 casualties. Welcome back, operator, Hayes said quietly. Not back, sir. Just not done yet. She looked at him with eyes that had seen too much but refused to look away. Maybe the watch never really ends. Maybe for people like us, like Ghost Unit 7, there's always one more mission, one more person to save, one more debt to honor. And when it finally breaks you, Rachel smiled tiredly. Then I'll know I gave everything I had. And isn't that what operators do? 6 months later, Rachel Porter appeared at another SEAL graduation ceremony. She stood in the back again, watching new operators earn their trident, wondering which would answer the call when their own ghost